right, there we are, Jimmy. We're back.
We're
It's from the
back.
margins. From the margins with legacy Democrat and my political mentor, James Lapont, and yours truly, David Washington. Here we go, Jimmy. Let's just jump right into it.
Go for it.
Senator Chuck Schumer had a bad week last week, and it seems like it's still that way for the senator from New York.
Well,
Boy, is he on the ropes.
he's on the roast. AOC will challenge him, and he will lose. And if you remember from the beginning, that I kept saying that the all farts need to go. Well, he's in that group. When we gave the 12 points that they needed to do to follow to succeed, one of the parts
Yes.
was that you need to get rid of Chuck Schumer, you need to get rid of Hakeem Jeffries, and you need to get rid of Pelosi. That's it. But what he did this week is two parts. It's two parts. Let's start by the beginning. Everybody in the House of Representatives, except one Democrat, kept rank and said, we cannot vote for this budget, not because we don't want to close down the government, is that this budget eliminates over $1 trillion on Medicaid, which
Right.
disabled children, senior citizens, and people with no insurance depend on. Okay? And let me explain to you, if you are a child who was born with a severe condition that makes it impossible for you to work the rest of your life, you will
Mhm.
get SSI and you get Medicaid. And this person now might get SSI, but I'm not sure if they're going to get Medicaid. If you are a single mother who works, who works and takes care of two dependent children, you get Medicaid. So you can work in any place that doesn't provide you insurance and you still have health care. If you are a single mother and your two sons or daughters, or sons and daughters, have been abandoned by their father and they have no health insurance, they get Medicaid. So when people
Okay.
say that this is a bunch of people, stop lying to the people of the United States. Medicaid is very difficult to get. It's almost impossible to find a doctor who will accept it. And basically, it is for those who need. But
Mhm.
that's one. The other part was the tax cuts for the rich. I mean, they were not hiding it. They're not trying to pretend. They're not trying to say anything. These are tax cuts for the rich.
Right.
Well, Chuck Schumer's rich. So, yes, he did benefit from that. But this is the thing in the House, there was discipline. We're not going to vote for this. They could pass it with their people, and that's fine with us. One desertion, that didn't make much of a difference. Here's where I take offense. Chuck Schumer, parting from the premise that because in 2008, when Bush started to lose his popularity,
Yeah.
and because the Republicans started negotiating with them, even though they were majority, that was almost 17 years ago. This is a different Republican Party. Then he said, well, in 2017, when he lost 40% of their popularity of the vote, they started negotiating. With all due respect, people, he is your leader, he is your king, and he dictates who has the power. If you vote against him, he'll go to your district, he'll run somebody against you and get that person elected through the primaries, and you're out. And everybody knows that. So basically, everybody, it's not that they agree with him, it's that they are afraid of Trump. Republicans are afraid of Trump. So they were going to vote for the budget, except Rand Paul, who at least I give him credit, did not think it cut Medicaid enough, even though he's a doctor, but that's fine.
Yeah. I doctor.
Uh, yeah. So he said to everybody, no. And then Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democratic Party in the Senate, at the request of the Republicans, with an offer of nothing, zero, cent,
Yeah.
nada, found nine other Democrats to vote with him in which he made them offers. I'll give you this, I'll give you that, as the leader of the party, and they voted and they passed this budget. The plan
Mhm.
was all the time. Here's where we're going to start our fight. Here's where we're going to start going forward and saying, hey, yeah, government is closed down. We understand that. But you elected these people and they are in control of the House and the Senate and they cannot pass a budget. That's fine. And maybe if they had done that, then there would have been a compromise to say, hey, okay, we won't take that. We'll take the thing of Medicaid out. We'll do this. And he could have negotiated after 5 or 6 days of the government closure. Okay? That's normally what happens. But the moron, and I'm going to call him that, said, okay, I think that if I throw this thing for them, the next time around, they'll give me something. No, they won't. Not because they don't want to, it's because they're afraid of Trump. If they don't do what Trump says, they're out.
Right.
So, with all
Right.
due respect, Chuck, you betrayed the House leadership. You betrayed the House people because you did this without their consent or anything. And you have most of the people in the Senate who are Democrats pissed off with you because when Chris Murphy
Yep.
goes to the Daily Show and says that what you did was wrong, he was not joking. So, Chuck, your days are counted. And for the record,
Wow.
you are the Democrat fuck of the week. I'm starting it the reverse. You're the Democrat fuck of the week. I cannot conceive that you went and did this and got nothing. Again, I'm going to repeat that. You got nothing in exchange. Because if a non politician would say, hey, okay, look, you need my votes, I need this. Can we negotiate? No, 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 no. And with your excuse, I didn't want to close the government. Hey, the government right now might benefit from being closed because right now it's being closed forcefully by President Musk. So wouldn't make any difference. But realistically, you did it against the request of the people in the House, against the majority of the senators, Democrat senators, and against the people of the United States. Right now, 55% of Democrats are pissed off with you, and I'm including myself. I'm pissed off with you and want you to resign us as our leader.
Wow.
60% of Democrats are pissed off with the party because they don't see us doing anything. Nothing. Since giving away a budget that's going to screw us to the Republicans, is that doing something for us? Hell no. So I'm going to start with the fuck up of the week of the Democrats because the Republicans don't wait, don't rush. You're at the end. I have three for you in one. So with that in mind, yes, I'm pissed off with Chuck Schumer and Chuck. If you are challenged by AOC, I'm telling you today, AOC, contact me. I'll give you a check.
Wow. There we go. There we go right there. A financial endorsement for AOC, Miss Ocasio
Cortez.
Ortez Ocasio. What I can't
Alexandra
say right now.
Ocasio Cortez.
Thank you. Financial endorsement for her campaign for senator of the great state of New York. There we go. Jimmy, I want to dig a little deeper into how we got here, which is a larger concern because it looked like the Democrats were out strategized, and what I mean is that um, the Democrats, did they have a plan B, first of all? And I'm talking about in the House of Representatives, where this continuing resolution started. Did the Democrats outthink themselves in anticipating that Speaker Mike Johnson will have a difficult time wrangling all the Republicans, particularly the Freedom Caucus, to get on the same page and pass a resolution with a small majority vote? Did they anticipate that Mike Johnson just wasn't going to have that support from enough Republican voters, Republican Congress people?
No, I think they knew it. because it's not support. This is not a correct statement. Correct statement is that even the Freedom Caucus knew that if they voted against what Donald Trump called his budget, a beautiful budget, one that
Mhm.
he wanted to approve, he would campaign against them. He would kick them out of the party. He would run somebody in a primary, and they would be out of power. That's what's always kept them in
Yeah.
line. He has always told them, "You don't do what I say, fine. Next year, when you're up for re-election, I'm going to find somebody to run against you. I'm going to go to your district. I'm going to endorse that person and say to all the this is my man. That guy's a traitor, and you're out." So that's what they're afraid of. I think they knew it. What they were counting, and even the Republicans in the Senate were counting, was, hey, it got to the Senate. You got 52 votes. You
Mhm.
don't have the filibuster. You are in trouble, and negotiations would start. That's why the Republicans in the House are so pissed, because what they were counting on is, hey, in the Senate they don't have the votes. They'll have to sit down with Chuck, and we'll get concessions. You want us to vote with you? You have to give me this, 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 and that. That's called bipartisan. Chuck cave in without any pressure from any side, and he betrayed them. That they did. That was not. They did not count on that. That's why I'm so pissed off with Chuck, because basically Chuck is saying, "Okay, fine, close the government. It's been closed 5 days. Hey, it's been closed 10 days. You want to reopen it? Fine, let's sit down." Because who would have been to blame for the closure would be the Republicans, because they're in control of the House, Senate, and the president. And the president would probably have sent some people, and they had worked out a negotiation. Nobody expected Chuck to be so stupid, and I'm going to call it that. Everybody thought, okay, we're going to hold back. We're not going to give you the votes. Oh, you want my votes? I need this. I need that. I need you to cut
Right.
in half the cuts for Medicaid. I need you to do this and that, and work with them. He decided, no, I'm just going to cave in. I'm going to vote for it, even and get nothing in exchange. That
Mhm.
was not their plan B. Their plan A, B, and C was, once it goes to the Senate, doesn't have the votes, then we could get a negotiation. If
Wow.
they couldn't get the negotiation, their plan B was close down the government for a period of time. And right now, the way that they're closing agencies and firing people and doing this left and right, basically
Mhm.
would have stopped, what you might call it, the people from President Musk's office asking, "What did you do this week?" Well, I'm at home because the government's closed. So what are you gonna do?
Right.
Uh, uh,
Right. And I want to touch on two things, Jimmy.
yeah,
One is the actual vote in the Senate, and then I want to touch on what Schumer did say and explain why he voted the way he did. Now, how the senators voted. I was curious, and I was looking up who had voted, and out of New Hampshire, Senator Shaheen, who is retiring. This is her last term. She is retiring. She's already announced that she will not run again. She voted yes to closure. And of course, from the good state of Illinois, my former senator, we have Dick Durbin, who may be retiring. We don't know that yet. However, he is the Senate Minority Whip, I guess you call that. And he voted, with Schumer. And just kind of looking at these yays and nays, and of course, Fetterman voted yes, and these are the Democrats. And Angus King, Senator King from Rhode Island, an independent, voted yes. It looked like that the Republicans may have been already vote counting and knew that they had the votes with some of these Democrats, particularly after Schumer that Thursday we were broadcasting, we were recording, has said that he announced that after meetings he was going to vote for the Democrats. So I found that very curious that particularly Shaheen voted yes, and knowing that this is her last run at the Senate, I think we will see similar votes from her. Um, Now for Schumer's statement about why he voted the way he did, one thing that stood out. about what he said to the American people was that he was concerned about if the government shut down, that means that the courts were shut down, that most of government was shut down. There will be essential services that will still be open, but for the most part, however, for the most part, government will be shut down. And Schumer was afraid or concerned that that would be giving the president that much more power to move even more expeditiously into his agenda and creating more chaos and shrinking government. What are your thoughts on those things?
The courts would not be shut down necessarily. They've always been and always will be essential. So
Mm-hmm.
that's if Chuck Schumer said that, he's ignorant of federal law, and that scares me even more.
Thank you.
Uh, but he also said that he was hopeful with his vote that Republicans would come around and work with him like they did in 2008 and 2017. He also said that he would negotiate that with them in the gin. That's kind of even more scary. Oh yeah, listen to the whole thing. It's really scary. The interview
It's
with the
hard listening to that man. It's so hard, Jimmy.
so it is, but that this is the part that blows my mind. Well, if we don't do this, uh, it's going to get worse. Shit, how can it? It's worse. It's bad. Right now, they're ignoring judges' orders. Right now, they're paying $6 million without the budget approving it to the El Salvador to take care of these 200 people. And bet what? Next year, El Salvador's going to say, you need to send me another 6 million, or I'll return them to you. And they're going to come back once the U.S. stops paying them. We know that. So,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have enough money to keep paying to take care of our people. That's one. But when he said, I'm hopeful that we can work it out, I will go to the gym, and there in the gym, we have worked out many deals. And I'm going like, really? The Senate works out their things with fake bicycles that go nowhere, and with old man showing. It's disgusting even to think about. But this is the truth of the matter. The always, 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 the judiciary is considered essential, and
Yeah.
they are not shut down. Now, is he concerned that Trump would try to say that they were not essential to shut them down? That might be a legitimate concern, but I don't think the judiciary would have accepted that because what are you going to do? Stop all the trials? Everybody loses their gets their cases gets dismissed because
Mm.
they've
Okay.
been held over the time of 6 months before they take a criminal trial. But it's not my fault. Yeah, but what are you going to do? Continue these people incarcerated? Oh, what? By the way, we can't post a bond because of this or that. Or you could tell me that the cops are not essential personnel because the judiciary system and all that has always been considered essential. So that part of Chuck, I cannot accept. Here is where I think Chuck was. Chuck was basically, he convinced these other nine. By the way, he convinced them.
Yeah.
Your senator was told, "Hey, you want to continue being the whip? You vote with me. You're leaving. You want something before you leave? You vote with me." There was
Yeah.
concessions made and threats made, but the truth of the matter is, if he had stood still and say, "I am the person in charge. We're not voting for this unless we get concessions," I can guarantee you that maybe Feldman, who's kind of woo-woo, and the other lady would have voted for it, and that would have been 53, and it would have not passed.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting that he got the exact amount to pass this through. Fetterman, some crazy people even think he should run for president. He doesn't have the brains to do so. I would not put him in that category. But
Right.
at this point, I would say this, and I keep saying this every week.
Okay.
The Democratic Party needs a new leader. Look what happened with the Republican Party. The old leaders could get them nowhere, but there was always an eternal fighting. that all of a sudden somebody came down the escalator and said crazy things, got the party united, and has
Yep.
a party going forward. Do you agree with what they're doing? No, but they are organized by one man. This thing of we're going to look for the governor of this state, we're going to look for this. No, we got to break away with the old ways. No more wokes, no more politically correct, no
Yeah.
more. Let's do things and have a study for 3 weeks, so they could come and tell us that the word weird. Did you ever see that movie? I can't remember the title. That was with Matt Damon. That supposedly he was that he was predestined to be president, but they didn't want him to be with a certain girl, and they did everything. That there was this power that controlled everything. When he loses this election, he comes out and says that he had paid a consultant firm X amount of money to tell him that the color red was a tie he should use, or the color blue, and that he should use the shoes this way. I don't know if you remember that movie, but for those of us who are political geeks, I know it was Matt Damon, and I can't remember her name, but basically it was something that there was a book, and in that book everything was supposed to be, and they had to wear a hat. It was really a crazy movie. But what he said about consultants is true. Our party is run by the consultants, and we need to get rid of the leadership and the consultants. We need a new party in which basically we have a leader who basically understands what the public wants, tries to get the white male vote, tries to get the white female vote, tries to get the African American vote, tries to get the Hispanic vote, but tries to get the American vote. Stop this trying to be this. And the worst part of this, stop stealing elections. You stole them with the pandemic because Biden won. After losing 5 states, he won South Carolina. Beat whoopee. 1 state versus 5. Whoopee. And all of a
Right.
sudden, they push Sanders aside and they put him in front. And basically, they did that in 2020. And what did they do in 2024? They said, if you run for candidate for president, we're going to eliminate you for everything. And everybody was supposed to be behind Biden. Everybody. And then all of a sudden in June, we had a debate, and we noticed how cuckoo he was. And I'm going to call it that way, how cuckoo he was. And everybody was, holy crapola, we're going to lose this election. And what did they do? He gets out, and they impose, and I'm going to call it that word, impose Kamala on us. There was no primaries. There was no nothing. This is the person. They called all the delegates, because I know 10 of them from Florida who told me this, and they put pressure on them to accept Kamala. Okay? There was pressure on them to accept Kamala. That left a bad taste in every Democrat's mouth. So when we ask, what did we do wrong? A, we imposed our candidate. 2, the candidate was handled by consultants incorrectly. They spent over $100,000 for the consultants to tell them to use the word weird. Those people are weird. Really? You need to spend $100,000 to come up with that one? Use the word fascist. To whom? David, you did never live under the fascists. I was born in 49. I don't understand the fascism. My parents talked to me about it, but I never lived it. So when people say they're fascists, there's very few people who even know about them. So realistically, we need to get away from the consultants, from the leadership, and we need to start from scratch now. But that's just one crazy voice.
Yeah, I was looking up the Matt Damon movie that you were referencing. I couldn't find it. And, maybe I'll find it later and put it in the show notes. So, new leadership,
New leadership.
get rid of the consultants, better messaging. Um, are the Democrats really ready to do that? Um, it's not just us who are screaming at the top of our lungs that the Democrats need to do a reality check.
And that's their
Um,
reality check. Their leadership is screwed up. They're in Washington. They live in a fantasy world that if they give something to the Republicans, they're going to give them something back. I don't think anybody in the United States believes that to be true. What are they doing right now?
Mhm.
What are they doing? Nothing. Uh, and one of the biggest problems that we've had for years is that the party is dominated. And I'm going to say this for those of you who are by consultants
Yeah.
that run and I'm not talking about campaign managers. I'm talking about
Okay.
people who will sit down and say, "Give me $100,000, and I'll make a survey, and I'll tell you what needs to come out of your mouth." Okay, that the people who has been pushing for political correctness, consultants, the people who have been telling us to be that to run a campaign that everything is fine, everything is okay, the
Mhm.
economy is hunky dory. Consultants, look,
Yeah.
as a political person myself, and you're a consultant, you have to admit that the people who advised the Harris Walz campaigns
Oh yeah.
did a horrible job. Okay,
Yes.
what more proof do you want that they lost everything?
Yep.
Okay, they lost all 7 swing states. Nobody, nobody had done that. Not even Bush, not even Obama, not even nobody. Okay, and they lost all 7. Democrats were not happy with their selection. Democrats, we felt like they were putting down our throat somebody that when she ran 2020, we rejected. Okay,
Right.
uh, but now she was going to be the candidate. Now it was just going to be a continuation of Biden. Most Democrats knew that Kamala, Pete Buttigieg, all the cabinet lied to us, saying, "No, no, no, he's what you're saying that about Biden is not true. He's doing fine. He's very coherent. His mind is there. He doesn't have a memory." They all told us that. They lied to us because we found
Right.
out that was not true. So the truth of the matter is, the Republicans were successful once they got rid of the old guard
They did.
completely,
They
completely.
did.
But we want to trust our guard. I'm going to say it right now. I'm a hard starch Democrat. I am a liberal and proud to be a liberal. I don't trust uh, Pelosi. I don't trust Hank Jeffries. I don't trust Chuck Schumer. I don't trust your Senator Dubin. I don't trust any of them.
Yeah.
They are in there for themselves and they don't care about us. And their thing has always been my message is I am going to tell you, I am superior to you. I know better than you. And I know what you how to take care of you. And I'm going to talk to you down, not just an equal, but down. That
Hmm.
needs to go. Look, right now, the Democrats would have to scrap, and I'm going to call it this way, scrap to find somebody who the party could go with. The closest to a leader of the party, and this, when I say it, people go, ooh, is Bernie. Bernie gets his
Yeah.
crowd. Bernie has his people that follow him. Okay? Stop pretending that he doesn't. He does. Those are the liberals. Yes. And a lot of centrists want to push the liberals out. If you push the liberals out of the Democratic Party, there's no way you can win. You're not going to get Republican votes. That's bullshit. You're not going to get them.
Right.
The people who are nonpartisan, call themselves nonpartisan, are not enough to replace the liberals in our party.
Mhm.
And for the record, the majority of this country is not centrist. Math. The 45% that are with Trump, no matter what happens, sun, thunder, or anything, they're not
Sure.
centrist at all. They are pro Trump, who is
Mhm.
ultra right. Okay, we know that. We have a large percentage of the Democratic Party that is with Bernie, who is
Yeah.
liberal. He's hard to the left. In the middle, those people couldn't elect a dog catcher because if we take 45% of the American public is with Trump and 39% is with Bernie, that leaves you a total of less than 20%.
Yeah.
Center is a myth. People are not looking for the center. They're looking for solutions. They're looking how
Great.
they're going to pay for their food, how they're going to pay for their gasoline, how they're going to pay for their kids' education, how they're going to pay their mortgage in Florida, how they're going to pay for the insurance over their property in case of a
Right.
hurricane, and how are they going to breathe and what water they're going to drink. And they don't want to be fighting with Canada. They want food on the table. But
Right.
our leaders are too stupid to understand that. So at this point, the Democrat Party says, let's do a revisit ourselves, and that's fine. But my concern is that they pass day by day. More Democrats are pissed off with their leadership. More Democrats are saying, fuck you. And more people than ever are staying home and not voting. So
That's
if
true.
if you want to do something, stop being in your office, calling people bro, or getting out that. And if the party is right now even worse, the House leadership and the Senate leadership of the Democratic Party, one against the other, a fight that was brought on by Chuck Schumer's stupidity. Right now, there's
And
people in the House who are extremely pissed off with the Senate.
correct. And I believe one poll recently had the favorability of Democrats in Congress at 20%, as you stated earlier, and another had them no higher than 29%. Jimmy, with the president and his administration moving so quickly, it is so difficult keeping up with the news. It's one executive order after another, and with everything happening on the world stage, in the courts, and then of course locally, it is so difficult. This is an administration that is moving at the speed of light versus what we were having with President Biden. And in saying that, with so much occurring, it's it seems like it's almost near not impossible. It's difficult for the Democrats to create a message about one singular issue when the next issue hits them right in the back and coming at us. And so, how do the Democrats? First of all, they need leadership. How do the Democrats manage being hit from so many different angles that when the dust settles, is there going to be anything that the Democrats can say or do that will change the shutdown of the Department of Education, or bring back USAID, or push back on the illegal migrant deportations? Have you gotten to an inflection point where it's too late to even think about
Oh, it's
those things coming back?
no. Look, uh, I like what the Prime Minister of Canada said. His expectation is that in 5 years everything's going to go back to normal, and that's what Canada's counting on, and that's what a lot of Americans are. Look, they put it in a silver platter, but most of the Democrat leadership are too morons to figure it out. Look,
Okay.
what did Republicans do for the last 4 years? Show and criticize every of Biden's fuck ups.
Yes, they
What are we
did.
doing? Nah, we don't want to do that because that's not where we want to pick our fight. We don't want. No, no, no. Gasoline is more expensive. Food is more expensive. Eggs are inaccessible. We have
Right.
taken part with
Right.
Canada right now that basically is going to cause our little manufacturing in our liquor world to go down the drain. You have Canadians who will not buy our products, even if we gave them to them for free because they're pissed off with us. We cannot sell our products in Mexico. We cannot sell our products around the world because of the terms. We are hurting because of this. Bingo, 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 bingo. President Trump has insulted our friends and our allies. He has people not trusting in the United States when they should be saying that they don't trust in Trump. They don't trust on us. And that is it. Are we going to pick a fight over other things? No. And next year, once people start losing Medicaid, hey, who's in charge? Republicans. That's their fault. You can't get health insurance. That's their fault. Hey, did they give you a tax break? No, no. But the rich got a tax break. That's where we need to be. But for some reason, we care about. We still in the mall that consultants tell. This is where you should pick your fight. This is what. Look, if there's one person who's told consultants, go fuck yourself, it's Trump. If there's one person
Mhm.
who's told consultants, go fuck yourself, it's President
Yeah.
Musk. They what comes out, and it's what the people are saying. People believe that we need to go to Greenland because it's military strategic. Why? Because Trump and Musk has told them it's not, but that's what they keep telling us. We try too hard to measure our words. Well, one person in the House got reprimanded because she used the word fuck. Well, fuck reprimand me because I use it all the time. But this is the world that they need to understand. Take a page out of their book. Everything that Biden did wrong, they criticize it. Everything that went wrong, they criticize it. Right
Yeah, he
now,
did.
there are kids without lunches in schools because you took away the Department of Education. Don't The Department of Education is immaterial. Trump took away your kids' disability programs. Trump took away your kids' disability benefits. Trump took away your kids' lunches. Trump took away your right to be able to go to see a doctor because now you don't have Medicaid. Trump decided to pay as part of the cuts to Medicaid. It's not all going to be, and this is the part that people don't seem to understand. It's not always going to be in who gets it. What they're probably going to say, hey, doc, we were paying you $22 for every appointment. We think that's too much. We're going to pay you 18. And the doctor's going to say, fuck you. I'll go some other place. Then there's going to be less doctors accepting Medicaid. So that's the other part of Medicaid that people do not seem to understand. They think, wow, all these people need to get off of it. Oh, there's fraud in Medicaid. Yeah, and you know what? There's also fraud in uh, committed by big companies in order to avoid paying tax. Okay, as a
Mhm.
matter of fact, there was kind of something interesting that happened in the great American Stamp Show in Hartford, Connecticut. There was a person who came in with stamps, U.S. postal stamps, legit stamps. Okay,
Okay.
he was selling them at 20% of face value.
Oh,
Now you ask
wow.
why? We found out that this was two major corporations who came November. They sit down with their internal people and say, hey, we need to get our office expenses up high so our tax liability goes down.
Right. Right.
And what they did is, hey, they went and bought over $200,000 worth of stamps, saying that they needed for their office. They didn't. They realized that after 5 years, they still had $100,000 worth of stamps that they had not used. So they went to the stamp show and said, hey, 20% of face value. And they sold them. Okay. Why? Because that is the tax breaks that a business gets. If you and I
Yeah.
say, oh my God, I what do I do to reduce my tax breaks? Well, you could go buy stamps. But since you're not a business, it's not tax deductible. You could go and
Right.
say, well, let me buy a three new computers. Well, yeah, you can, but you don't get to deduct it. So, as a matter of fact, we
Exactly.
don't get to deduct our the interest that we pay on our mortgages because Trump took that away from us. That needs to be the message. You can't deduct your mortgage payments anymore from your taxes. That was Trump. You're paying more for sales tax. That was Trump. It's just like right now. If they take away your property taxes, they're gonna have to make it up. And where they're gonna make it up? In sales taxes.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So basically, that is where we are going to have a problem. The party needs to say, look, this is what's affecting you, and they're the responsible. That's what they did for 4 years. That's what they've been doing all this time. And we think, well, people know better. People are smarter than that. Bullshit.
Hmm.
Bullshit. If
But
people were
Jimmy,
better than that, I would tell you right now, half of the medications would not be sold in this country. If people would know better than that,
yeah,
people would not be buying things that they don't need, that they're selling them on the internet. As a matter of fact, John Oliver had a good thing that he did, and he took a blanket and put it there for sale in one of the programs, and people bought it because it was on TV. And it was a
yes,
great blanket that couldn't cure what it claimed to cure, but people bought it.
yes, yep.
It's the mentality. It's on TV. I don't know if you ever saw Charlie Harper and 2.5 million.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Oh, I gotta buy that. He was making fun of everything that they said on TV.
Right.
We don't go out and say, "Look, this is a lie." You know who's responsible for your gas being up? Him. And guess what? If he continues fucking with tariffs on Canada, when we say that we get our gas locally, we get an average of 25 to 30% from Canada.
Okay.
So if that has a tariff, that gasoline is going to be more expensive. So I don't know if the government's going to be able to subsidize that, but you know, it's really something that people don't seem to understand. It's not going in there saying that they're bad, that they're an essential threat to democracy. People don't care about democracy; they care about the food on that table. Uh,
I was just thinking that, Jimmy. I was just thinking that.
but that's the message that the consultants tell us to go out there, that they're fascists. Half of the people don't even know what a fascist is.
Exactly.
Uh,
And Jimmy,
that they're weird.
do
No, call them crazy. Sorry, that's what I would call them.
weird. Jimmy, with respect to the prime minister, does the, do the Democrats and their allies and supporters have 4 or 5 years for things to come back to normal, to their normal? Do
Yes,
they have that time?
well, Canadians do because they control themselves. Okay, push come to
Correct.
shove, they have their own economy. Push come to shove, they produce enough food, wood, and everything for them to take care of themselves. They have enough gas. They really mostly depend on selling to us than buying
Mhm.
from us. That's the truth. As a matter
Right.
of fact,
Okay.
they sell us the excess electricity they have in most of the north of the United States, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, part of Massachusetts, all the way down. They get their electricity from Canada. So yeah,
Wow.
they won't. Can we survive? Yeah, we can survive. Is it going to
Sure.
be difficult? Yes. Is it
Right.
going to be hard? Yes. We're going to. Are there going to be consequences that we might pay for the rest of our lives? Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
People are losing faith in their government. People are fed up with voting. People think that voting is a waste of time and energy, and they. And I heard somebody tell me that both the Republicans and Democrats are a bunch of crooks that all they want is to steal their money. And there's a lot of people think that way. And when you lose faith in your government, yes, there's going to be some
Right.
severe consequences. So I would say to everybody, yeah, be ready. We're going to pay. What are the consequences? I don't know. As a matter of fact, I went to court this morning and
Mhm.
I checked in my right pocket of my jacket and I found a mask there.
Ah,
It goes back to the days that we were using masks. Uh, it, I
as a
also,
matter of fact, it's the 5 year anniversary this week, the 5 year anniversary of COVID-19.
it is. And the other thing that is interesting, I went to the hearing and they still have these shields to protect. I'm going like, really? After all these years, you still have shields? Like we're
Wow.
going, you know. Uh, but yes, uh, 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 you know, I could go to certain restaurants and see outside the 6 feet mark still. So it's really, yeah. There's going to be consequences, but
Yeah.
how long is it going to take us to go back to normal? Depends. If I was elected president, the first thing I would do is when I go to be sworn in, I would have right next to me the Prime Minister of Canada, the President of Mexico, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, the Prime Minister of Spain, the Prime Minister of Germany, France, Italy, Greece, keep going down the line, Jimmy, all the way, and have them right next to me and apologize for the way they were treated the last 4 years and guarantee to them that for the next 4 years, I will make sure that they will be treated with respect and dignity. And right next to me when I'm sworn in, I would have Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, send a message really clear to Putin. No, my friend, this is my friend. You're not. But that's me. I'm the crazy Democrat or the real Democrat, the true Democrat, whichever you want to call me. But that's me. There's things that can be done, but basically, I would like to see the leadership of the Democratic Party take a plane and go up to Ukraine and say, "Hey, we're sorry. We would like to help you, but we're not in power. But we want you to know that morally we're with you." Simple as that.
And to take it forward, Jimmy, instead of the Democrats doing these TikTok challenges and dances and
Oh, don't get me
raps and all
started.
that stuff,
You're punching. Ooh.
yeah,
Oh, give me. Who the consultant will tell you to do that again is
right.
wild. The party's fucked up.
And
It looks so stupid.
it does, and everything prior to that, the same sending out the same message, word for word. The legislators going to the outside of the USAID office and Maxine Waters waving their finger at one of the employees' faces. And then, when the cameras are off, they all go home to their nice, apartments and in townhomes and have a nice dinner and go to sleep and put on another suit for the next day and, do what they have to do to stay relevant. It's so facetious. And you made me think about what I saw recently and what I heard recently. I was on YouTube and just looking at some of my feeds, and one of the broadcasts, I think this was on X. It showed former Congressman Matt Gaetz from Florida down in El Salvador, walking through the Supermax prison there for all of the bad people that President Bukele has imprisoned. And it's like, what, 30,000, 70,000 inmates. And with the recent air flights of alleged members of Tren de Aragua, I think that's how you pronounce the game, and the MS-13, and seeing them unloaded from the plane, and they're marched down inside the prison, and then their heads are shaven and their beards are shaven, and they put on the orange jumpsuit. These are really dangerous people living in America. And then I listened to a podcast called Amicus, which is a review of the law that tracks what happens in the Supreme Court and the lower court. And I was listening to the two attorneys talk about they were sympathizing with these gang members, or let me check myself, alleged gang members, and how they were just scooped up off the streets, their family not knowing where they went, and then shipped off to El Salvador. And I'm thinking, as I'm looking at some of these men being taken off the plane and seeing all the tattoos and all the markings of being in a gang and everything, and then listening to these two lawyers talk about, oh, how shameful this is. I was like, wow, have they ever? This is the disconnect. What's actually happening in the streets versus what's happening behind the camera. I was like, I grew up in the '80s, and we were terrorized in Chicago by the gangs and their street wars and their drug wars. And I didn't know what an AK-47 was until going to school one day and we're hearing shots fired. And sorry about the waffling here. It's just so the disconnect is it's so troubling, Jimmy. And people just want to feel safe in their community.
They do, but they're selling you. I would put it another way. They're selling you a bag of security. Look, I, I, the airport, people feel secure because they search you and this and that, and 90% of the people going through there are not criminals. Okay, 10% might maybe. Okay, they told us that these people are horrible, they're criminals, they're gang members, and la la la. La. I think what they were trying to tell you is one thing. First of all, they never proved that they're gang members. They just say that they are, and you buy it, or you know. And do you trust the Trump administration? Yeah, I don't. Okay, so that's one. The second thing is I don't think you understand where they're really coming from. Under that premise that these people are dangerous and they're gang members, can they go and arrest the outlaws? Can they go arrest the two East Coast and West Coast African American gangs who are criminals? Because let's call them what they are. They are criminals. So
That's right.
we're going to arrest these people because they're gang members, they're criminals, and they're dangerous. All three things I would agree with. Put them on a plane and we're going to take them to Salvador. Whoa, 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 whoa. They wouldn't do that to American citizens.
That's on the table. That is on the table.
That's on the table. So, do we really want to start a dangerous precedent saying everybody that we call a gang member, everybody that we call dangerous, we're going to put them on a plane, we're going to shave their head, shave their beards, and put them in prison? Particularly, this is the third thing that it's one of the fuck ups of the week. That's the other thing that we need to discuss. So, when people tell me that we disconnect, there is a disconnect, and there is, because basically people are accepting that when Trump says that these are dangerous criminals, they are. As a matter of fact, they even said that one of the people that they arrested was a child predator, and when push came to shove and say who was it and where, they never could prove it. And when they put down that one of the people that they arrested in Massachusetts was the one of 10 most wanted by the FBI, I hate to say, none of 10 most wanted of FBI was a non-citizen. Okay, all 10 were citizens. Because they were put born where and what year, and they were all born here. So that you would take with a caution. But what they're trying to say is they're trying to take away our liberties. One of the things about this country, you go to trial, you're found guilty, and you're punished. You're not just removed from the street and say you're a criminal and here's your punishment. That is not the American way. And what is scary is that they've been doing it. So I'm going to go into the fuck up of the week of the Republicans to show where it is. Okay, there are 3 fuck ups this week.
Here we go.
Okay, here we go. The number one is that they arrested 200 people of Venezuelan descent and said, hey, these are criminals, these are gang members, and we're going to send them to El Salvador and pay them $6 million a year to take care of them because Venezuela won't take them back. Well, Venezuela won't take them back because we don't have a relationship with Venezuela. So it's not because they were criminals, it's because they won't. They call them gang members and dangerous people that need to be removed to protect us. So maybe the next time they will get all the outlaws, get the African American gangs in the East and the West, the Bloods, and I can't remember the other name, but you know who I'm talking about.
Crips, the Bloods, the Gangster Disciples, the Latin Kings. Oh, yeah.
Okay. And are they dangerous people? Yes. Are they gay? Yes. Can you just take them and remove them? Well, let's start. Can they remain? Can they take away the Mayas, which is a Mexican gang in the United States that's been going back to the 30s? can they take in the Latin kings and say, hey, these people are foreigners? Three-quarters of those gang members are been born here. Their parents were born here. Their grandparents were. They call themselves Latin kings because of their last name and because they identify and because we discriminate against them. So it's okay. And can that happen? Can then they say, "Oh, we're going to take the Crips, we're going to take the Bloods because they're dangerous criminals. We're not going to give them a trial. We're going to send them to El Salvador." Realistically, this is the concern I have.
Okay.
They already have a precedent, and they noticed that the American people didn't protest, so that's fine. But I have is they were told not to do it by a judge, and they told the judge, "Fuck you," and they did it anyway. Okay. So the fuck up is disobeying a court order more than anything else.
Okay.
Second fuck up that like you say, things happen so fast that we forget, is our president going to DOJ and asking for them to prosecute CNN and MSNBC.
Mm-hmm.
That's the press. That's some scary shit. Okay? Now we're prosecute the press because they say things bad against the president of the United States. That is some scary shit. Again, these are the fuck ups because they're basically fucking up with our Constitution.
Right.
The third one is an interesting one because this is kind of interesting. They deported a young man, a Palestinian student,
Right.
from New York, not because he was dangerous, not because he never shot anybody, never threatened anybody. He did criticize the way Israel was killing people in Gaza. And he made a big issue of that. And half of his followers and people who were with him were Jewish kids, because we don't want to say that. We don't want to talk about all the protests in Israel. But he was deported because of what he said. I will say this very carefully. I don't agree with anything that he said, except when he said that Jews and Muslims needed to come together and work this situation out outside of the intervention of the rest of the world. That part, that came out of his mouth, that part I would agree. The rest, no. Did he say that the Israel's soldiers committed? That's up for debate. But his right of free speech, I will defend with my life. So, did they say he was dangerous? No. Did he carry a weapon? No. Was he stealing cars? No. Was he killing anybody? No. This is where I'm trying to get to you people. They're taking away your civil liberties, and they're using the excuse that they're protecting this country. They're not. They want to get rid of their enemies. Netanyahu asked him to get rid of this kid, and he said, sure. He put him in a plane, and God knows, nobody knows where he is. He might be tortured right now by the CIA and every other agency. So, yes, he was removed. But did he commit any crime? The answer is no. So when people tell me that they're removing the dangerous people, well, one, I'm a lawyer. Prove to me that they're dangerous. You haven't, so I cannot believe you. Second, the biggest liar in the world is called Donald Trump, so that I think we could all agree. So basically, that I don't trust that. But three is when they tell me that they're doing this for my protection. This young man, I did not agree with anything that came out of his mouth, other than that should be the Jews and the Muslims who resolved the issue. That I would agree. But I would agree that he had a right to say what he had to say. Just like Donald Trump has a constitutional right to lie to us, to misinform us, to kill people that he thinks are his enemies. He thinks he has that right, which he doesn't. We have to be proactive. So I think that the fuck up of the week from the Republican side is taking away people's civil liberties and the Republicans remaining silent. and the Democrats too, because I haven't heard no protests from them. And let me clarify this last thing.
Okay.
I'm talking on behalf of free speech. I'm not talking, again, agreeing with him, what he said. That doesn't make me pro or anti or anything. I'm talking about free speech. You have the constitutional right to be stupid. And nobody proves that constitutional right to be stupid better than Donald Trump.
Okay. And we're speaking of Mahmoud Khalil.
I didn't say his name because I knew I was going to kill him.
Yes, Mahmoud Khalil. He is allegedly still in detention in Louisiana, and he was detained after he was a leader of some of the protests at Columbia University in 2024. So,
Is that
yeah,
a crime?
I'm sorry.
Is that a crime?
No, it's not a crime. It's not a crime.
So what's the arrest for? And this is what I think lawyers,
Un-American activity.
you know, whoopee. So what is an un-American activity? Talking about
Exactly.
is an un-American activity.
According to the BBC.com, according to the BBC, born in Syria, Mr. Khalil, a Columbia graduate, was arrested by immigration agents, was linked to President Donald Trump's promise to crack down on student demonstrators he accuses of un-American activity.
Well, prove that it was an un-American activity. He claims, prove it. Look, I'm not going to make it easy for you, Mr. Trump. You claim that this person is doing this. Fine, prove it to us. Your mouth, the only thing that comes out of your mouth is our lies. So, and even if you believe it to be true, that doesn't make it true. So, I have no problem with you claiming that he does an American activity. Please go to a court of justice and prove it. And if you can prove it, and a jury agrees that he's violated the law, fine. But you don't have the right to just incarcerate people because you disagree with them. That's the problem.
He is a
Never criticize, anything that would be a crime. Okay. Now, again, I don't agree with what he says, but me calling President Trump doesn't make me anti-American. It makes me my free speech. I disagree with you, President Trump, today, tomorrow, and next week. I think what you're doing is not in the best interest of this country. That's my free speech. And with all due respect, the arrest of this young man sends chills to a lot of people's spine because he was protesting. Mm-hmm. So what would stop Trump and his lackeys of saying that, for example, the young lady who went outside of a ICE raid and called them all idiots and said that what they were doing was harming this country? That was a free speech. Did it offend the people who work for ICE? Yeah, it did. But that's a free speech. It's just like it's a free speech of Musk to say that all federal employees are corrupt. And he should know because he's been paying them all for years for space days. Whoa! With that, I think we could conclude the program, and hopefully the true Democrat, the real Democrat, or the crazy Democrat has concluded today with this request. Subscribe. Give us your comments, even bad ones. Some of you think that I live in La La Land, and I understand that you live in La La Land and you know what La La Land is all about, and you think I do too. So thank you. But subscribe, comments, good, bad, and you can do it through YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, right? As long as TikTok still functions, and any other media that you enjoy. But we're here. Give us your comments. See you next week.
Indeed, Jimmy. Thank you so much. And we'll see everyone next week. Don't forget to comment.
Don't forget to comment. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Jimmy.